It was just ridiculous. It's not often that you're watching the WNBA or that I'm watching it and I'm like, wow, I've just never seen this before.
Buddy, picture this. A commissioner accused of abusing her authority, a furious fan base finally reaching its limit, and 3 players, Caitlin, Sophie, and Lexi, standing together while the league falls into chaos around them. Now the WNBA is facing what many are calling its biggest controversy because more than 200,000 fans have declared a boycott for the 2026 season. The total keeps rising so quickly that reports claim Cathy Engelbert left the league office in complete panic. Sponsors are calling without stopping, Adam Silver is reportedly upset, and many believe the WNBA is dangerously close to a major crisis. This is the story many people feel the league never wanted out. If you're watching, you're seeing a moment that could change WNBA history. Like, subscribe, and comment, Boycott 2026, if you support Caitlin, Sophie, and Lexi. Reports say everything began after messages from a players' group chat surfaced. Cathy allegedly warned Caitlin Clark to stop taking part in outside activities, especially golf. The warnings didn't stop with her. Sophie and Lexi were also reportedly told they could face suspensions, reduced playing time, or even possible termination.
As for what Engelbert is alleged to have said to Collier, if she actually suggested Caitlin Clark should be grateful for what she makes off the court, that's preposterous. Did you miss the Iowa years? Clark is the Tiger Woods tide that lifts all boats. And we know this show is proof. The highest rating we have ever had followed one of her games at Iowa. The WNBA has benefited from her presence more than the other way around, even though this year for Caitlin Clark was essentially lost to injury.
The players were stunned by what they had heard. Caitlin reportedly asked, "Are we not even allowed to play golf? Are we not allowed to have our own lives?" As the messages spread, many felt that Caitlin Clark, the league's biggest star, had been pushed into a corner. Sophie and Lexi stood firmly beside her and reportedly said, "If they suspend you, we're leaving too." 3 close teammates, 3 fan favorites, united through the situation. Many believe Cathy picked the worst possible time to create this conflict. Once the story reached social media, the reaction was immediate. One fan post alone gained over 1.2 million views with the message, "Suspend Caitlin and we suspend the WNBA." Reddit, Instagram, and TikTok quickly filled with discussions. Fans were no longer just frustrated. They had reached their limit. They pointed to disputed fouls, repeated hard hits, Caitlin being benched for protection, and reported warnings over playing golf. Then the biggest response came. More than 200,000 fans joined a boycott for 2026, with the number continuing to grow. It wasn't only individual fans taking part. Families, children, and entire groups joined in. The frustration no longer seemed temporary. Within hours, sponsors reportedly noticed the growing backlash. Instead of waiting, they contacted Cathy directly. One reported message was clear: "If Caitlin leaves, we leave too." Another sponsor representative reportedly said, "This isn't a league problem. It's a Cathy problem." Soon after, league headquarters reportedly began receiving a wave of emails.
Then the high tide lifts all boats or whatever, basically. Like, if you buy into this, everybody is going to eat. Yet you had people fighting tooth and nail the entire season, not wanting it to be this way because other people weren't getting flowers, or she was getting too much attention, or she gets a special whistle, or I'm gonna check her off the ball here just because. And then her teammate cheers for her for throwing her on the ground. It didn't get better. And it's disappointing to me because it's not every player in the WNBA. And I'm sure that there are many players who are happy to have her in the league. And it's like, if it was my league and somebody was coming in and bringing millions of people, like, I would be excited about that, because you know what? That's a chance for me to impress millions of people who weren't watching before. And there's a lot of women in this league who don't have that kind of envy and jealousy and this kind of like secret club mentality that they only want certain people to be a part.
More companies reportedly started pulling their funding, freezing investments, or warning they could leave completely. The WNBA realized this was no longer just another controversy. Many believed it had become a serious financial crisis. Critics claimed Cathy's decisions were damaging the league in real time. When reports said the boycott count reached 210,000, Adam Silver was said to have stepped in. According to the story, he entered the office, dropped a binder on the table, and said, "Fix this or step down." The room reportedly fell completely silent. Kathy appeared stunned as he questioned why players were being warned over their personal lives, why Caitlin was being singled out, and why her teammates were also receiving threats. She reportedly tried to explain, but he was not convinced. He made it clear that no one would be stopped from playing golf, suspended, or fired. Then the situation reportedly took another dramatic turn when the assistant commissioner quietly told Silver something. He stood up, shook his head, and walked out without another word. At the Indiana Fever headquarters, the players' phones kept buzzing as boycott numbers climbed from 200,000 to 220,000, then 235,000, 250,000. Caitlin looked at the screen while Sophie held her hand and Lexi embraced them both. Caitlin quietly said, "They're doing this for us." Sophie replied, "Then we stay strong." Lexi simply answered, "Together." Meanwhile, the league office was reportedly in complete chaos, with non-stop phone calls, overflowing emails, worried employees, frozen sponsorships, and executives staying behind closed doors. Kathy reportedly had no clear plan or support left. Many believed she had finally realized that fans cannot be controlled, star players cannot be threatened, and public support cannot be forced. By the end of the day, reports claimed the estimated boycott had grown to more than 1 million people when family members were included. Kathy's office was reportedly closed, and she did not make any public statement. The league was said to be facing losses in sponsors, trust, fans, revenue, and stability.
It would be holding the players back from saying, yes, we agreed to an extension. Let's try to iron out this deal so there is no lockout. Right? They'll still be able to negotiate if there's a lockout. However, players won't be able to head to the facility. They won't be able to get treatment. They won't be able to train with the team, with the staff. So there is some things to lose if there is a lockout. Sources: WNBA offers players extension on CBA deadline. The WNBA has offered players a 30-day extension to continue negotiations for a new collective bargaining agreement, sources told ESPN on Tuesday. An extension before the current CBA expires Friday would allow both sides more time to negotiate a new deal.
That question, which raises some sensitivities of rivalries between players. In the case of Angel Reese, who's just had to shut it down because of a wrist injury, Caitlin Clark, who's continuing to play. Rivalry that goes back to their college days, presumably, where I guess some trash talking entered in. But now it seems on some social media channels to have taken a darker turn, a more menacing turn, where race has been introduced into the conversation, where sexuality is sometimes introduced into the conversation. How do you try and stay ahead of that, try and tamp it down, or act as a league when two of your most visible players are involved, not personally, it would seem, but their fan bases are involved?
Many people argued that the situation spiraled because of the reported threats aimed at Caitlin, Sophie, and Lexi, the very players many believe should have been supported instead. The WNBA, according to critics, didn't just risk losing players that day. It also risked losing the trust of its fans, and trust is the foundation of every successful league. If you believe the fans made the right choice, comment Boycott 2026 until justice is served. If you stand with Caitlin, Sophie, and Lexi, don't forget to like and subscribe because many believe this story is still unfolding.